And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the galaxy. It is I, John D. and Kanika, a.k.a.
Kanika.
Doing Too Much podcast. We'll get that right one day. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm well. Thank you for asking. How was your week?
Uneventful.
Again?
That's always good.
Is that good?
Yes.
Isn't that uneventful means like?
No, it just is good.
It's interesting. Uneventful is good.
Yeah. Well, no, I you know what? I went to dinner with my family last night. That was different. Cousins that, spanned from 75 down to 25, and that was kind of cool.
Oh, that was a wide range.
Yeah, that was cool.
What did you get out of it that you could share for other people to look forward to get down with their family from 25 to 75?
You know, it's really nice. Like there were cousins there that I used to babysit, and then there were cousins there that used to babysit me. So it was kind of cool to be able to, number one, bridge certain generations, but also it's just like to see the evolution. Like I was making a joke a couple of months ago. My mom and my aunt, they invited me out to dinner with them. And when we were younger, my mom and her cousins used to all go out to dinner. It was a grown folks dinner. None of us were allowed to go. And so now I'm at the age where they invited me and I was like geeked up because I had graduated. And so now it's like they just letting anybody in. It's people, it's cousins 20 years younger than me and they get the okay. I didn't get the okay until just now. But no, it was really nice. It's really nice to actually be able to see how you can relate to cousins you ain't seen in forever. And you're just able to kick it. It's just really fun. It was really lighthearted. And one of the things I'll say about my family is there are certain family members that they get lost in, arguments or past hurts or whatever. But the people who were at the table, it was all funny games. There wasn't anything in the background where someone was hurt and they were going to have to explain away, or it was tension or anything like that. And those are the family events that I love the most, the ones where you're not worried about someone having to mediate for someone or feeling, like, well, let me go talk to her and then I'm going to go talk to her, but I can't talk to them at the same time, or, they're not going to be together. None of that. I love that about family. I really do. I love the carefree, like, chill part of being with them.
That's cool.
But you in the world where we run around now, we move out of the cities where our families are really based. You miss out on those meetups. And after the pandemic, people have been so to themselves. Like, I would probably encourage everybody to get out and see their people.
Definitely that.
It almost seems like work to put it together, but really it's not. It's just like, meet us here at 6:00, and then whoever's there is there, and you have a great time.
I think that's a good idea. I think people should do that. But it's like whoever's doing it, they can't have any expectation because it could like cause you to not want to do it again.
Yeah.
So it takes a really strong person to be able to orchestrate something like that and not be disappointed from who didn't show up.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you already, like in this case, it's like you already know certain people are going to be there. So when you tell everybody else, hey, we're going out to dinner, we're going to be here at whatever, come through. If they don't come, it's okay because you already got a group of people that you're going to have a good time with. But if they do come, it's just like exponentially better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. Yeah, you don't want to set an expectation. We're going to have 13 people and then it'd be 3 people. And you'd be like, oh, want. No.
So I don't really get those. But I think I would probably have to be the one to orchestrate something like that. But I don't really have the energy for it. I guess because nobody's here, I would have to like travel to actually participate in something like that.
Yeah.
I have a question. What do you see in your kids, our kids' childhood that you think you could have benefited from to be a better person today? And the reason why I'm asking this is because my purpose as a father now is to really create an idea of what I thought I should have had.
Mm.
Because I used to complain about, why don't I have this? And then as I got older, I started to say, why don't I got this? Why didn't I have that? And I was like comparing myself as a parent to my parents, like, what am I doing differently? And I know opportunity and resources, but what do you think as a parent today that you're doing that the kids are benefiting from that you would have excelled in with just whatever?
I think that with them, I'm far more interested and concerned with their mental. Like when I was growing up, my mom definitely didn't want us to be sad or feel like, feel down. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, there was no teaching or any prioritization of mental health in the way my mom was brought up. So, I think I've said this a number of times when my mom, she would be like, you can cry, but then about 10, 15 minutes later, you're going to have to suck it up and figure out what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
And I don't want Day in Dallas to wallow in anything, but I'm definitely more so, like, my mom will help you find the solution. Like, this is what you're going to do next. But with me, I think I'm the social worker in me. I'm always thinking about wraparound services. Okay, so how do you connect with the school and with the doctor and check in with the kid and make, how many different ways can you support so that they're propped up in a number of ways? Like, there's a lot for them to fall back on. It's a thicker cushion, I would say. Now, I like the way my mom raised me because it really made me a problem solver. And that's good. I want Day in Dallas to be problem solvers, but I don't feel like I want them to feel too early on in their life that they have to solve things on their own. Like somebody was telling me, people who have to go and isolate to get themselves back together are people who, as a child, they had to manage their own issues and they didn't have anybody to support them. So they had to figure it all out on their own. So in their adulthood, they back off and they isolate away from everybody else to kind of collect themselves and get themselves in order. Whereas there may have been other people that felt more supported, and so they were more open in asking for help and seeking support and things of that nature. And I'm somebody who isolates, not because my mom didn't offer support, but my mom's support was, how are we going to solve it? And sometimes I need to sit in my feelings a little bit more. I think I support Day in Dallas in doing that too, and also processing a lot of the feelings around it. Like Day was talking about her interaction with somebody earlier this week at school, and I was trying to help her to see, okay, from this person's perspective, this is what's happening. This is what the blowback is for you. So now you're experiencing this because of them, and this is how you need to assert yourself. And then I give her options. My mom was very straightforward. You're not going to deal with that. This is what you're going to tell them. This is what you're going to do, and then it's done. Like with Day, I was like, there are a few things you could do. If you don't want to be confrontational, you can take your things and go over here. If you do want to assert yourself and set your boundary, you can say, this is not acceptable. Like, you're going to have to do X, Y, Z. I said, and then, it's the extremists where they don't do what you want, so you pick their stuff up and throw it somewhere else so then they could get out of your seat and go do whatever. You know what I mean? And so with them, even with Dallas, previously there was another issue where we were talking about him relating to other kids, and it was like, okay, so this is what we would have done at our age, but that's not really your personality. So here are some other options that might vibe more so with who you are, not who we are. And I think that I appreciate that in how we parent, because we see who they are and we try to fit the solution to who they are. Whereas my mom was like, this is how it needs to be done. And I started out like that. Like, when we were in Abu Dhabi and stuff was popping off with Day, I was like, nope, this is what you're going to do. And she wouldn't do it because it's not her. I would do it because my mom told me, and I felt like that was the only way to do it to get the thing solved. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, long story long.
That wasn't long.
That's how I appreciate how I grew up and I understood it. And then to add on to it, I developed my mom's system even more so by looking at who the person is and trying to give options that might better fit them and kind of support them, let them see what else is around them. It's not just me sitting there solving problems with them. Like I'll say, did you talk to your dad about it? Do you want us to pull your teachers in on this? Can we talk to your doctor about that? And I like that. I feel like, every generation is supposed to get better and grow off of. Either you're going to take what your parents did and develop it even further, or take what they did and push it to the wayside because you didn't feel like it was supportive and helpful, and then you create your own. In that case, I feel like I took what my mom did and then I developed it further. If I would have had that, if I would have known that there were more options in how to handle situations that were more comfortable for me, I don't know how it might have changed me, but I think that in the grander scheme of things, it would have made me use my resources more, because I would have seen my mom, employ supports in different ways, like how I do a day in Dallas. I feel like now they understand that there are multiple things in their environment that they can pull from to help support them in doing something. And also, I like the idea that giving them more options to let them know it's more than one way to skin a cat. You know what I'm saying? It's more than one way to solve a math problem. It's more than one way. Maybe it would have unlocked a lot more possibility and creativity in my mind of how to handle every aspect of my life. I might have blown that up. It might not be that deep, but that's what I see as a great potential.
I don't know how you blew it up, but I think that's valuable in comparison to what we grew up from. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we really don't know how much better it actually is, because recently I was listening to something that said that educated parents are crippling their kids because they're giving them so much. And something that you said triggered me to think this when you said, I learned how to problem solve. We're solving their problems versus them learning through experience to say, okay, this didn't work. And it's not that we don't want them to know that, but we want them to know the process of problem solving versus the hard mistakes of just life that you just don't have enough information because your parents didn't know to teach you that, or they didn't even know.
Well, and I think the other part of that is like, I'm not solving the problem for you. I'm helping you to learn how to think through a problem. And at this stage of your problem solving, I'm giving you different options to show you that there are, and then you choose, because this is you solving your problem. And then, when they're younger, we solve the problem for them. Now we show them how to think through it and what their options are. So then they can start modeling after us. When they're not with us, then they'll be like, okay, I could do this, this, and this. These are my options. They won't just feel like they're stuck and they don't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So we are teaching them. I think that it was great that we were problem solvers, but I don't know if we needed to be problem solvers at 13. I think we could have been even more effective and thoughtful problem solvers at 22 or 23 if our parents would have maybe taken the training wheels off, but ran next to us and held the seat. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I see it. I don't think it's necessary to throw you out there and say, now start making your decisions. I think that it could be a graduated process.
Well, it has to be, or you're just hoping the kid to figure it out.
Yeah, and so I understand when people say, you know, our generation of parenting, we it's like we don't allow them to grow up the way we did, and look at where we are. But we've come out with a lot of scars and scrapes that we didn't have to have.
And we're still dealing with some of them.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, and like I said, I love that my mom taught me to be a problem solver. And I don't necessarily feel like I have a lot of blowback from that, but I don't think there's anything wrong with supporting your child longer so that when they go out there with those skills are like forged through fire. Like they've gotten so much guidance that when they go out, it's not like they're just trying to figure it out. They pretty much have a formula of how this needs to go, and they're confident when they go out. And when Day and Dallas go into the world and they're making decisions on their own, I won't be worried about whether or not they're sitting there like, I don't really know and I can't really ask anybody. And no, they're going to learn, okay, well, who do I know that might be able to help me with it? They won't be afraid. They'll use their resources.
We hope.
Yeah. I really feel like we need to stop looking at it as, when I grew up, I learned this stuff at 11 and 12. Doesn't necessarily, I mean, maybe you were making decisions at 11 and 12 you weren't supposed to be making.
You sure weren't.
Yeah. And so it's okay.
What's wrong?
I'm laughing in my spirit because I on Instagram, it's this little thing where somebody be like in a White House and the guy's just sitting there reading, and then he'll be like in a black house, the guy's sitting there reading, and then the fire alarm chirps. And the fire alarm keeps chirping. We're gonna have to get those batteries. But yeah, I feel like it's not a problem. I don't mind running next to them and holding the seat a little bit longer, because I'm gonna be confident that when they leave, I won't worry about, do they know? Do they, I hope they know they can come and talk to me. I hope they'll be like, I want them to be confident that they have support.
Yeah. No, they don't, because.
Well, they will after. That's what I'm saying.
Well, we don't know when that's going to happen. Like, what I'm saying is, like, you don't know you have a skill set until you find out that somebody else don't have it. Like when you go talk to somebody and you're like, why did you do that? And you're like, you didn't know to do this? And you're like, oh. Like, they don't know how equipped they are yet. Like, I remember I've always thought I knew everything, right? So when you realize you don't know everything, you tend to just take everybody else's information. You're like, dang, why didn't I know that? I'm glad I learned that from them. You know what I'm saying? But I look back at my childhood, and I was just thinking about I figured everything out. Like, my father didn't help me with very much. Not anything that I feel like he just like, you don't do this. Like, or I'm a whoop you. That was it. And the thing that I wish I would have had was the explanation part. Mm-hmm. Not just the solutions, like the different consequences of why it's stupid to do that. And then after you do it, somebody says, that's why it's stupid. But I want to know why it's stupid before, because I don't want to do anything stupid. Mm-hmm. So looking at the kids, I know sometimes I talk them to death, because it's like, I'm trying to give them as much information. Because if I die today, I want to say that I died trying to give them everything that I know.
Yeah, definitely.
And, trying to talk in the language where they're receiving the message is even more difficult, because you just kind of get lost in what you want them to have. And it's almost like I got to pre-plan whatever I'm going to talk about. But I just feel like my childhood, it caused a lot of problems. It did teach me the problems. It made me confident in problem solving. I never was scared of failing. I didn't think I was going to ever fail. That's why. Like, when you don't think you're going to fail because you feel like you've done everything you were supposed to, and then you realize you just got lucky in a lot of things. Or, they say God protect the ignorant. So the ignorant. And I think that I was just protected. And I'm glad now I don't have to be as ignorant, and then I could be a better parent to them so that they can have a confidence at a half the age younger than me and I learned it. And and I will say though, growing up the way that I did help me develop a confidence that I see most people don't have, even in my kids. So I know that we're doing something different, that they did not pick up that confidence from me because their environment creates their confidence, I guess. So if you don't know that you have these resources, it's hard to have that confidence.
Yeah.
So I just wish I just had parents that were a little more patient and that could explain things to me. But looking back, there's no way they were capable of doing that. And now I'm envious of them. That's the reason why I want to just become even better, because I want them to grow up and be like, I really thought I had a tough life. But I can see that their life was way more tough.
Yeah.
And they did everything they could for us to be here. But I don't want to say that to belittle their
experience.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's more so just I want them to be confident that we did that. So hopefully you don't have to do that.
Come on, ho.
But is there any experiences as a child, when I say a child until you became legal age, that you had that you learned a lot from, that you wish that they could go through it?
No. I think the way I learned my lessons were definitely outside of the realm of what a kid should have been doing or thinking about. I learned, and the things that took place when I was younger, it took years for me to process it in order to get the lesson. I didn't get the lesson in the moment. It wasn't like I touched the stove and I got burned. I definitely got burned, but there was a disconnect between the nerves of my finger hitting to my brain. Like, I didn't realize the impact of some of the decisions that I made and the experiences I had until years and years later. I don't want that for them. The things that and it's not like I was out here selling myself or anything. I wasn't dealing with those types of issues, but I know that the decisions I was making and the positions I was putting myself in were too adult for me to feel like that was the valuable way of learning that lesson. I don't think there's anything that I learned as a child that I'm like, I wish that they could have that same experience. And no.
So nothing that you can think of? Or you said there's just nothing?
When I think about the most monumental lessons I had coming through my youth, there's nothing that came from that I would want them to go through. I want them to have the lessons, but in an adult life, to be able to process it correctly and understand what you're doing, and it to be a situation that your brain is, my brain was not ready in most places, you know what I'm saying? But if there were some things that I dealt with that if I would have dealt with it maybe 5 or 10 years later, the outcome would have been different. My understanding of what was happening would have been different. My ability to make decisions would have been different. And so, yeah, no. You?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I wish they would have gotten a few more fights. And the reason why I'm saying this, because I want them to be excellent communicators, but I want them to know what it feels like, the pain, to say, hey, I don't like this feeling anymore, and that they can prevent somebody from making them feel that way. Because I feel like there are things that could hurt their feelings just through words.
Yeah.
And to get hit is even worse when you're like, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to hit them back? I'm supposed to be a nice person. I just wish they could have the balance of being able to prevent themselves from being bullied, not bullied. I don't know how to explain it, I guess. I just want them to just be able to, I know they can talk themselves out of something because it's not their fault most likely. And if it is, they'll apologize. I want them to feel confident if a physical confrontation comes, where if they get hit, that they would have the option of knowing how to punch somebody back or grabbing them and refraining them. Like, I don't think they would just freeze like a deer in headlights. Like, how did I get hit? And I don't want them to feel that way.
Yeah, that's true.
But overall, I do believe that if they do have those encounters, that it won't look like the way that I did. But I just don't want them to feel that feeling.
As a kid, I only got in one fight, and it wasn't my fault. And so that wasn't really a lesson that carried with me.
Did anybody ever get in your face where you felt like you were going to have to fight and you didn't? And you didn't like that feeling?
Yeah, there was somebody but there were actually two situations, but the people really wanted to fight my friends, but they were focused on me because I was the smallest. But even in those moments, like, I did have the mindset of, if somebody gonna fight me, I'm gonna try to take your head off. They don't. That's what I'm saying. Like that, yeah. But also, I had a dad who was a fighter, and he glorified that type of thing. And me and my brothers didn't physically fight. We didn't do any of that stuff. It wasn't a way of being in my household. But I guess my dad just had it in my head, like, if you gonna fight, you gonna knock somebody's head off. And so that was just the decision. That was what you're supposed to do. And then you watch people fight. You see them swinging with all their might. You see them, like, when they get mad. I guess I just assumed I'm going to know how to do it if I need to.
I think that it just shows you the level of human we are when it's okay to fight.
Yeah.
Like, we should definitely be talking this out. Nobody wants to fight.
No, not with Harry.
No, I'm saying nobody wants to fight, period.
I'm like, my dad was like, who wants to fight? Let's fight. You know what I'm saying? But, he definitely grew up different than I did. Like, my mom really saved my dad as far as his kids and how we developed. Because if we would have been left to him guiding us, we would have been like feral people just out in the street just waiting for somebody to try us, and my dad really, like, when I got in that one fight and I came home, he was so excited to ask me if I won. And that was the weirdest thing ever. Like, all the other adults were like, are you okay? My mom was like, what even happened? Like, trying to understand what happened. My dad, he came in the room and he's smiling. Did you whoop her ass? That was the first question he had and the only question he had. And, I'm glad that we're not those parents, even like when the kids were younger and like your sister was like giving them pointers, like you hit them in the throat and we weren't even thinking stuff like that. We weren't even thinking to even tell them that. Even when she said it, I was like, Connie. But Dave remembers that to this day. I don't think she would ever hit anybody in the throat. But the idea of fighting, I think that Connie probably thought like me. When you're put in a situation, I just need to tell you what to do and you just need to go at it. But these little gentle giants we got, they ain't going to do that. They're not going to, I don't think that, and I think one of the great things is how we grew up. It was more necessary to know how to physically defend yourself. Whereas now, the environments they're in now have been very, very mild.
It doesn't require that.
It hasn't required it. And so it's not something that I think their instincts are saying, I need to pay attention to this or know how to do this. They don't see people fighting around them. We used to watch people fight. So I think that that's another thing. We used to watch friends fight or other kids or whatever and be like, oh, shoot. Like, if anybody do that to me. But with them, they don't see that stuff. So.
Yeah. Anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
My dad, he's long gone, but to one of the most ridiculous, I'm looking for a fight dudes I've ever met in my life. No, I'm gonna get, yeah.
So that's probably where you get it from.
Yeah.
Because you always looking for a fight.
I am. It's in my spirit, but Birdie be stopping me. My mom's DNA be coming in and being like, hold on, Kanika.
I don't know if she helps you for real.
She does.
I think you be giving her too much. No, nobody helps you.
She does help me.
Whatever.
Because you know what? I could be so much worse than I am. You know what?
That's not anything you should tell anyone.
But what I will say is, and not just my dad. My mom, my dad, he probably gave me, unbeknownst to him, well, no, maybe that's what he wanted, this idea of being willing to fight. But my mom definitely taught me that I didn't have to. So, love her. Love him. Love her.
For sure.
You?
No, not really. Other than the kids. I don't think I ever give them shout outs, but they have made parenting really easy. I wonder if when I say that to them, does that offend them? Like when I say it to you?
Oh, I used to hate that.
You know, so I was just wondering. But anyways, when I say that, I'm saying like it's kind of fun. It's more fun with the journey of raising them because it's almost like they understand our language and they kind of refrain from trouble and they do what they're supposed to do. And I think like all parents want that, but to actually like live it, it's like, wow, we don't go through the blues that I hear from other parents, even on the internet. When I'm like seeing these stories, I'm like, I'm glad whatever we're doing seems to be creating this fruit from our kids to be able to like give us, you know, the joys of parenting. Because I'll say this, I remember as a child, my sister and I, like, I'm going to tell you how bad my sister was. And when I say bad, I mean like bad behaviors. Like the adults used to say, that girl's going to kill you. And when they used to say to her, they was like, yo, my father used to say to her, when you have kids, they're going to do worse to you than you've done to me because you don't understand. Now, what adult says that?
It was like cursing you. I hope all the bad things
Now I need you to think about
for real.
Like for real. Like, so just think about that. I don't remember those things being said to me. You know, and that's what I said. Like he parented her where she could do whatever she wanted with no understanding of what a consequence could do. And I just felt like when she created those habits, those consequences just became her life. And I'm blessed that, I mean, you and I are able to have these kids because that's a painful day to day.
Heck yeah.
You know, and so shout out to our kids for being able to understand whatever we're trying to give them to at least look the way we want them to right now.
Heck yeah.
Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose.
We like the cars that go.
Boom.